All right, guys. I welcome you all to this session. We'll be talking about the GKs for AILET, the most important questions for GK session. So stay tuned. We'll talk about the most important topics for GK in today's session for the AILET exam. As we all know, I know you guys would have prepared for GK for Clat exam as well. But I'm sure you would have written mocks and you would have seen the previous year papers for AILET. And what's the difference between GK, that is as in Clat, and AILET is that in Clat they'll keep the focus limited to the most important topics, right? We saw in the Clat exam they have asked topics which were very much predictable, but that predictability is not there in AILET, because in AILET they'll go on to ask questions from any area, right? The questions can be from sports, the questions can be from appointments, from history, from any awards, for example Nobel Prize, right? So the questions can be from a very diverse range of topics, and for that reason you will also find very factual questions being asked in the AILET exam. So when you prepare for GK in AILET exam, your focus has to be different. You have to focus on factual information as well, something which we used to avoid, something that we avoided in Clat preparation, right? So now I'll tell you the areas which you need to focus on, right? If you look at the syllabus in the past 4 to 5 years, these are the areas from where they have asked questions from, right? They have many questions from Indian history, and especially modern Indian history. There has been a lot of questions from modern Indian history. Every year there are at least three to four questions from modern Indian history. Then a good number of questions from policy of the government. For example, there will be questions from Indian polity. There will be questions from any government schemes, right? Or any constitutional provisions. Then a lot of questions have been seen from international days and events, right? Let's say World Wetlands Day falls on which date, right? All these things are important. The factual information, the miscellaneous kind of factual information is very important for AILET. Then there has been a lot of questions from dance forms, sports, especially the major sporting events of the year. So for example, this year, the Indian women's cricket team won the 50-over World Cup. So that becomes an important topic to prepare for AILET. Then science and technology, the recent missions of ISRO and NASA are very important. You have to prepare for them as well. Then awards and prizes, including the Nobel Prize, Raman Magsaysay Award, and especially the prizes which are won by Indians, right? So that is important. Books and authors, and the topics of environment. These are some of the important areas from where a lot of questions have been asked in the past. So these are the areas which you need to focus on. Now today, what we'll do is we'll try to practice a few questions from all these areas, which I feel are very important, which in my opinion are very important for this year's AILET exam. All right, so without wasting any time, let's quickly start with the question practice. All right, the first question is, the Indian women cricket team won their maiden ICC Women's Cricket World Cup title in 2025. Who did they beat in the final and by what margin? Now, we all know that the final was played between India and South Africa, and India managed to defeat South Africa by 52 runs. So for this question, the answer would be C, South Africa, and India defeated South Africa by 52 runs, by a margin of 52 runs. Now, if you look at this question, now the question that I have, that I've come up with in this PPT, in this session, so you don't just have to focus on the information that I'm going to tell you in this session, but in fact, you should note down the topic and you should read more about the topic, because these are the areas which I feel the questions will come from. All right, now moving on to the next question. The next question is, who was named as the player of the tournament in the 2025 Women's World Cup for her all-round performance, right? Again, a question from the 2025 Women's Cricket World Cup. So the answer for this is Deepti Sharma. For her all-round performance, she took a lot of wickets, and as well she played handy knocks during the entire World Cup series, and therefore she was declared as the player of the tournament for the 2025 Women's World Cup. Now, moving on to the next question. What was the total prize pool for 2025 Women's World Cup, making it more lucrative than the men's World Cup 2023. Now this year the prize was set as $13.88 million. Now what I tell you is that in such kind of factual questions also, you can get a hint, right? Sometimes you can get a hint to the correct answer, right? Now, although it's very, not very, not you will not be correct with this approach every time, but you can see, the three options. There is one option says 4 million, 8 million, and 20 million. The other option is 13.88 million. So if you see the odd one out is generally the answer. Now, this is not a 100% secured formula to get to the correct answer, but sometimes you can apply logic if you want to get, if you want to mark a fluke in this question, right? But you please remember, you have to use this trick very carefully, right? Now, the next question: which issue was raised regarding one of the original venues of the final match of 2025 Women's World Cup, leading to the change in venue? Now, we all know the stampede that happened in Bangalore after the IPL victory of RCB. And because of that, the Bangalore Stadium, which was initially planned as the venue for the final match, has to be shifted to the DY Patil Stadium in Mumbai. And therefore, the issue for this would be stadium declared as unsafe after the stampede inquiry. So this is the correct answer, right? So you have to think, you can also think and apply your logic, and you can try to relate it with current incidents and events to reach to the correct answer. Now, moving on to the next question. What initiative did the ICC launch at the 2025 Women's World Cup to support Afghan women cricketers who had fled their country? Now, again, a question that is not directly expected from the World Cup, but some related to events that happened in and around the World Cup, right? So you not just have to focus on the main event, you also have to read about the information around that. So therefore, this question, if you see this question, let's look at the options. Financial grants to start their own league. Now, this looks like a very far-fetched option, so this will not be a correct answer for this question. Key engagement opportunities at the World Cup plus performance workshops. This might be an answer for this. So let's look at the other options also. Performance at permanent Olympic quotas for Afghan women's cricket. Now, again, something which is very far-fetched. And then free coaching in camps in India and Sri Lanka. Now, why just India and Sri Lanka? Why not any other country? Right? So again, this is a question you might look like an answer, but again, why if ICC has to do something for the Afghan women cricket team, why they would drag in India and Sri Lanka? So it's the most probable answer is key engagements opportunities at the World Cup plus performance workshop. This looks like a most probable and the most subtle answer for this question. So one advice that I want to give you is that whenever you see a statement-based question, you try to judge the answers. You try to apply logic, even though you might not know the answer of the question directly, but you can reach to the correct answer by eliminating certain options. And even if you are not able to eliminate all the options, at least you will be able to eliminate one or two options. So the options which are directly eliminatable, which can be directly eliminated are A and C. So even if you're not able to eliminate D, then you're left with two choices. You're left with B and D. So now, by this elimination technique, you have reduced the chances of getting the incorrect, you have increased the chances of getting to the correct answer to 50%. So now you have a better chance. Even if you mark an answer between B and D, you have a 50% chance of getting to the correct answer. Right? So these are the approaches that will help you in maximizing your attempts, and in fact, they will also help you to increase your score. And as we all know that in competitive exams like AILET, each and every marks matter, each and every attempt matters, and these are the approach. This is the approach which will help you to increase your attempts as well as the score. Okay, moving on to the next question. In a major upset during the 2025 T20 World Cup or related qualifier, which team scored a super over victory against Pakistan? Now, this is a question from Men's T20 World Cup 2025, which was won by India. We all know India won the Champions Trophy. We won the T20 World Cup, right? And this question is from the T20 World Cup. Now, there was a major upset in which Pakistan was defeated in the super over. And the team which defeated Pakistan is USA. USA had defeated Pakistan in a exciting super over match during the T20 World Cup, and this was considered as one of the major upsets, because if you see, Pakistan has been playing cricket for a very long time, for almost 70-75 years now, but USA has started playing cricket very recently. Because if you see, 2028 Olympic is when the cricket is expected to be introduced in the Olympics, and to prepare for Olympics, USA has created their own cricket team and they've started playing cricket. Now, initially they got players from all around the world, the retired players and the players who were not getting enough opportunities in other countries. They made a team out of those players, and along with those players, they created a team. For example, India's young talent, Unmuk Chand, who has also won the Under-19 World Cup as a captain for India, was invited, by USA to join their cricket team, and in fact now he plays from the USA cricket team. So they made a team out of players from India, Pakistan, and around the world, and they have created their own team, and they were able to manage. They were able to defeat Pakistan, which has already won the T20 World Cup as well. So this was a major upset in a super over. In a match which went till the super over, Pakistan was defeated by USA. So this question was from that event. Now, next question. What new rule innovation was introduced in the 2025 ICC Champions Trophy? Now, again, a question from a major event in the cricket, in cricket, right? There was a new rule that was introduced in the ICC 2025 Champions Trophy, and that rule was floating power play between 30 to 40 overs. That was a new rule that was introduced, right? Now, even if you look at other options, right? 6-over power play only. Now, in a Champions Trophy match, which is a 50-over match, generally in a 50-over match, the total length of the power play is approximately 20 overs. For those of you who follow cricket, they know that the total length of the power play, including the 3 power plays, is 20 overs. That cannot be reduced to 6 over, because 6-over power plays are in T20 matches, right? So this option can also be eliminated. So even if you see that the questions are factual in nature, you can apply logic and eliminate certain answers, eliminate certain options, and increase your chances of reaching to the correct answer, correct possible answer, right? So this option is obviously incorrect. Then no DRS for the group matches. Why no DRS? What's the reason? In fact, DRS is a technology that helps the umpires in reaching the better and more accurate decisions. Then why would they remove DRS in group stage matches? 4-day matches instead of 1-day match. Again, a very extreme option which can be eliminated. Now, as we see, elimination method works in most of the questions which are statement based, right? So even if the questions are very factual in nature, what you have to focus on is whenever there is a statement based question, you can read the options and try to eliminate them. Especially the extreme options, you can easily eliminate and increase the chances of reaching to a correct answer, right? So my suggestion is that whenever you see a question, right, don't jump to the next question. Maybe take 5 to 10 seconds, read all the options and see if you can eliminate certain options or not. And also, if you have eliminated 2 options, if you are able to eliminate 2 options, then my suggestion is you should mark that question. You should always attempt this question, because now there are 50% chances that you'll get to the correct answer. And let's say even if you're attempting 10 such questions where you were able to eliminate 2 options. Now if you're attempting 10 such questions, you get 4 correct and 6 incorrect. So 4 correct questions will give you 4 marks. 6 incorrect question will give you negative of 1.5. So even then you are gaining. Even at this point you are gaining. Even if your luck is so bad, if your luck is very bad and you get only 3 correct and 7 incorrect, you'll gain 3 marks from here. You'll have 1.7 negative 1.75 here. So overall positive would be 1.25. Overall, the 1.25 would be the positive score. Still you are gaining, and this is the scenario which means that you are having a very bad day. Even then you are in a positive situation. You are gaining from attempting this, right? You will gain by attempting these questions rather than the score that you would have got if you have left these questions, right? So it's better that whenever you have eliminated two options, you should attempt those questions at least. All right, moving on. Next question, again from the 2025 Champions Trophy. See, we all know that India won the Champions Trophy, so that's factor that should remember, that who won the tournament, who was the finalist, who was declared as a player of the tournament. All these basic information you should always remember. But apart from that, any new change introduced in the rules, any new and any major event around, any controversial thing around that in the tournament, all those information are also relevant for the exam. So these type of things also you should remember, right? Now if you look at this one, again we'll try to eliminate options. If you look at the option D, now something which is very extreme, recycled bats only. Now bats are generally made out of wood, and how are you going to recycle? Will it not impact the overall performance of the players if you allow them to use only the recycled bats? So again, a very illogical and extreme option, something which can be eliminated, right? Then if you look at the other options, carbon neutral team travel. Now team travel, to make team travel carbon neutral, teams travel through flights, teams travel through cars. Again, something which will require a lot of effort, something which is not easy to achieve, right? The answer of this question would be this one: single-use plastic plus reuse of water. This is the correct answer because this is the most appropriate answer. Seems to be most appropriate one. All right. Now this one is a highly factual question, or what I say is the hyper factual question. Now these are the type of questions where you are not supposed to take any risk. These are the questions where you should mark the answer only if you know the exact answer. In such type of questions, there is no need of taking risk because this actually asks you a hyper factual situation, like a hyper factual question. It's a hyper factual question, and therefore there's no need of applying any logic here. There's no need of applying any elimination technique here, because the question is asking you a hyper factual detail, you will not be able to get it. So it's better you skip these questions if you do not know the answer of such question. It's better that we skip such questions if you get any questions like this in the paper, right? Now, the answer of this question is, of course, Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia is the answer. Now, in such kind of question, we are only supposed to mark the answers only if we know the exact answer. Otherwise, you can skip such questions. Now, with this, what the idea that I wanted to convey with all the previous questions was that cricket is an important area from where questions can be asked. And three major events in cricket in the year 2025 were, in fact, four major events were IPL, the T20 World Cup, the Men's T20 World Cup, Champions Trophy, and the Women's One Day World Cup. And the most important, of course, is this one. So there are very high chances that the question can be asked from here. But along with that, you should also cover these areas. These are the areas, these are the important events in the cricket. The questions can come from these areas from cricket. So it's better that we prepare for these four areas, right? We should know who won this particular tournament, which team won the tournament, which team was the finalist, any important event around that, or any important controversy around the tournament. So all these type of information you should know. Right. Moving on. Now this question is based on tennis, right? It asks you how many Grand Slams tournaments are there in a calendar year in tennis, right? The question is based on tennis. As a very basic question on tennis. Even if you have some idea about tennis, you will be able to answer this. And these type of questions are called the lowest hanging fruits. Now, these are the type of questions which you cannot afford to miss. You cannot miss such questions. These are the questions which should be attempted by everyone. These are easy questions which everyone should know the answer and everyone should get the answer correct. The answer is 4. There are 4 Grand Slams in tennis. These 4 are Australian Open, Wimbledon, French Open, and US Open. These are the 4 most important or the Grand Slams in tennis which are played every year, right? So you should know about the winners. Now, with regard to this, because a lot of time I've seen questions from tennis being asked. So with regard to this, you should know the winners, right? And the players who have won these tournaments most times. Right? So all this information you should know. Right? For example, who has won the title of Wimbledon Open for the maximum number of time, or overall who has the maximum number of Grand Slams. All these things, all these information you should know. All right. Now, next question. Which Grand Slam is traditionally played first in the calendar year? Right. Now, again, a very hyper-factual question. Even though, you know that there are 4 Grand Slams, you may not be aware that which Grand Slam is played first in the calendar year. But this is an information where the people who have interest, people who have keen interest in tennis will gain an advantage. Because we all know, anyone who follows tennis will know that it is the Australian Open, which is played usually in the month of January and February, is the first Grand Slam which is played every year. Traditionally, this is the first Grand Slam which is played every year. Right? So Australian Open is the correct answer. Now, next question. Again, an area which is very significant this year. Chess. In Clat 26 also, there was a full-fledged passage. There was a full-fledged passage in Clat 26 based on chess. So chess is a very important area from where we can expect a lot of questions. You can expect a lot of questions from chess in this year's AILET exam as well, right? Now, the question says, in 2025, which Indian chess player continued to be among the top in the world and made significant appearances in the top tournaments? Now, if you look at the answers, if this question is asking you about a famous player or the person who has been in news, and if you are preparing for the CLAT exam, you would have definitely come across with this name multiple times, right? Now, if you look at the names of Divyendu Barua and Pentala Harikrishnan, now these are the names that you might not have heard very often. But the question is asking you, which Indian chess player continued to be among the top in the world and made significant appearances in the top tournaments? So that means in multiple tournaments, he had given top performance. So his name would have appeared multiple times in the newspaper and the news articles. So if you are preparing seriously, you would be, even if you don't know the exact answer, you would have come across this person's name multiple times, right? So these 2 options can be eliminated. Now we are left with Vishwanathan Anand and Ramesh Babu Pragnananda. Now this is the name which rings a bell in my ear. This is something that rings a bell in my ear. A lot of time this name has been repeated. So this is the correct answer for this question. Again, you can think about the question, you can try to recollect from your memory and try to guess the answer, right? Most of the questions, you will not know the answers directly of the question, direct answers of the question, but you'll have to guess. Okay, next is Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize is one of the most important or one of the favorite areas of competitive exams, especially exams like AILET and SLAT and all the other upcoming exams that you are going to write. Nobel Prize is a very important area. So regarding Nobel Prize, you should know the winners of 2025 and India-related facts. That who was the first person to win Nobel Prize in XYZ domain from India. How many people from India have won the Nobel Prize, right? So all this information you should know. And also the list of winners of 2025 and the areas of research. For example, this year, XYZ person has won the Nobel Prize in medicine. What was the area of research for which they got the Nobel Prize? So that Though that is the information that will be asked in the form of questions in AILET, right? That we have to focus on. Now, the question is, who won the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize? Nobel Peace Prize winner we have to recognize. The answer is Maria Corina. Now, she is from Venezuela. She is the promoter of democracy in Venezuela. She has been awarded the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for this year. Malala Yousafzai won the Nobel Prize, but not this year. She has won it previously. So that option can be eliminated. Next, the 2025 Nobel Prize in Literature was awarded to which author? Now, this 2025 Nobel Prize in Literature is very important. It is awarded to Laszlo Razanakore, right? I don't know how to pronounce this. My pronunciation of this language is not very, I'm not very good at the pronunciation of this language. But yeah, this is the name of the person who has won this award. All right, moving on. Next question. For what discovery was the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded? So again, as I told you, that questions will be asked either from the winners that who won the award and also about their discovery. The question will be from the discovery. What discovery they have made so that they have won the Nobel Prize. What discovery they made to get the Nobel Prize. Now, for this year's prize, the area of research was peripheral immune tolerance. Peripheral immune tolerance was the area of research for people who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine. Of course, apart from this information, you should also know the winners. That who won, you should know that who won the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. All right, next question. The 2025 Nobel Prize in Chemistry went to scientists for their work on metal organic framework. Again, a question which is hyperfactual in nature. There is no need of applying any logic, because if you try to apply logic in that, if you try to eliminate options, you would definitely go wrong. I mean, even if you apply logic, you will end up getting to the wrong answer, and you may end up losing marks. So there is absolutely no need of applying logic in this question. These are hyperfactual questions. If you know the answer, good, mark it, move ahead. If you do not know the answer, don't apply any logic. Do not apply any logic, because here there are higher chances that you will end up you'll end up marking the incorrect answer. Okay, next. Which statement about the 2025 Nobel Prize is correct? Now we have to recognize the correct statement, right? The Nobel Prize in Physics is awarded for gravitational wave discoveries. Next, the Nobel Prize in Economic Science was not awarded in 2025. Next, Nobel Prize in Literature was given for works of visionary apocalyptic art. Then next, Nobel Peace Prize went to climate change activist. Right. Now, as we already discussed, the Nobel Peace Prize went to a person who has worked for democracy, and democracy does not have a relation with climate change. So this option is eliminated. Right. Nobel Prize in Economic Science was not awarded in 2025. Why this will be done? Why this will not be awarded? Then this option can be eliminated. The Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded for gravitational wave discovery. I think this is also incorrect. So the correct answer is the Nobel Prize in Literature was given to works of visionary apocalyptic art. Okay. Next, again a question from awards and honors. And this time we have a question from Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar, which are recently started. Something which is recently started by the Government of India, a recent initiative of Government of India. Now, this question says, RVP, the Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar scheme in India, was created to. What was the purpose behind it? So we have to answer. Again, it's a statement-based question, so maybe we can apply logic. We can see which options we can eliminate. We can see which options we can eliminate. Now, if we look at option A, consolidate multiple science awards under a single framework. This might be an option. This might be an option. Let's look at the other options also. Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. Replace the Bharat Ratna with Science Only Award. See, Bharat Ratna recognizes contributions of Indians in multiple fields. Bharat Ratna, you may be a Bharat, you may have contributed to India in any field, and to recognize your contribution, you're given that award. Why only restricted to science and technology? So again, an extreme option, something which can be eliminated. An extreme option. Then give large cash grants to inventors. Now, even if you know some information about RVB award or Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar award, you would know that there is no cash prize involved here. Even if you know the basics, there is no cash prize involved here. There's only a certificate and memorial and a medal. Right? So this option is also incorrect. Now this you have eliminated because it's an extreme statement. This you have eliminated because it is factually incorrect or based on your knowledge. Now, next question. Honor only the international scientists working in India. Again, a statement which has an extreme word. Now, the statements with extreme words are generally incorrect. So, I will eliminate this option also. So, even if I do not know the correct answer, I can still reach to the correct answer by eliminating the options, even with limited amount of knowledge and a lots of logic. So here I have used both my logic and knowledge to reach to a correct answer. I've applied both logic and knowledge. I was not aware of the correct answer, but still I used my logic and knowledge to reach to the correct answer. So both your knowledge and your logical ability will be tested here. Next, what is not a category in 2025 Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar? Which of the following is not a category? First option is Vigyan Yuva, then Vigyan Shri, Vigyan Ratna, and Vigyan Nobel. What is Vigyan Nobel? Now, again, I will apply odd one out and mark this as Vigyan Nobel. Again, the odd one out technique will work here. You will reach to the correct answer if you apply that technique. Vigyan Nobel is the correct answer. See, sometimes you'll have to think from the perspective of the examiner. When the examiner was making the question, he had to pick up 3 awards, which are the categories in which the Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar are given. Whereas he had to make up one more option which looks similar but is incorrect. So if you look at the examiner, if you think of it from the perspective of the examiner, you will reach to a correct option. You will be able to get to a correct option. So D for Delhi would be the correct answer. Next question. Which young scientist under 45 from IIT Kanpur won a 2025 RVP Yuva Award? Now they're asking the name of the awardee. Again, it's a hyperfactual question. The question which asks you about the name of the person who was awarded the Rashtriya Vigyan Yuva Puraskar in the Yuva Puraskar category, right? Yuva category. Again, a question which is hyperfactual in nature. Now, whenever you see a hyperfactual question, there is no need of taking risk in such question. If you know the answer, good, mark it. Now, in this case, I know the answer. The answer is Amit Kumar Agrawal. He is one of the youngest person to get this award, to win this award. He is from IIT Kanpur. So, Amit Kumar Agrawal is the answer. Now, what would I have done if I had not known this information? I would simply skip this question because there's a negative marking. I'll simply skip this question. Next, what is the cash prize, monetary reward for the 2025 Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar? Moments ago, I discussed that there is no cash prize involved here. Moments ago, I talked about the fact that there is no cash prize given. No cash prize is given for the Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. And therefore, the answer for this question would be C. There is no cash prize involved here. So the answer would be option C. No cash prize, only citation and a medal. Only the citation and a medal. Now, which award in the RVP, Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar, is given to a team rather than to an individual? Again, if you look at the options, what are the options here? Vigyan Ratna, Vigyan Shri, Vigyan Yuva, and Vigyan Team. Just match those terms here. You just have to read the options properly. See, there's no person in the world who knows all the information. But we know some information. We apply logic. We try to think about the question from the perspective of the examiner. We eliminate options which seem extreme. And using all these techniques, I'll reach the correct answer. All this would help me. So GK, opposed to the, opposed to the convention that GK is where your knowledge is tested. Let me tell you one thing, GK also tests, not just tests your knowledge, but also tests your ability to take correct decisions. It checks your ability to take risk, how much risk you can take, how much logic you can apply, how you can solve the questions logically, right? Of course, knowledge will be tested, but at the same time, they're also trying to test your patience, they're trying to test how many questions you can attempt even when you don't know the exact answers for all the questions. So that also is tested. Again, next question is also from books and next question is for awards. Who won the 2025 Booker Prize? Again, a very important one this year. Booker Prize. Booker Prize is awarded to David Sasley. David Sasley has been awarded the Booker Prize for his novel called Flesh, for his work which is known as Flesh. This is the name of the work for which he has received the prize. This is the work for which he has received the prize. Okay, next question. What is the title of the novel by David Sasley that has won the 2025 Booker Prize? Right. Now, as we already discussed in the previous slide, Flesh is the novel for which he has received the Nobel Prize. Now, apart from Booker Prize, you should also know about International Booker Prize. These are different. International Booker Prize and Booker Prize are different. You have to read about this as well as this, right? Now, next question. Which notable fact is true about David Sasley's Booker Prize win in 2025? The answer is he is the first British-Hungarian author to win this. The answer is he's the first British-Hungarian author to win this prize. Again, a factual question. You're not supposed to take risk in this. Again, you can eliminate certain options because this is statement. There are certain statements also. So, for example, option C, the prize amount was doubled this year. Why this year? Why the prize amount was doubled? So again, unnecessary vague options. Vague options you can eliminate. This was a vague option, and therefore you could have eliminated this, right? So at least some options you can always eliminate in such questions. The statement-based question. Now, next question, again a factual question, hyperfactual question. Which Indian NGO became the first from India to win the Raman Magsaysay Award? Raman Magsaysay Award. Now, it is considered as one of the most prestigious awards in Asia. In fact, it is also known as the Nobel Prize of Asia. Nobel Prize of Asia, right? So it's a very important award, and this time an Indian NGO has went on to win this award, right? And the NGO which has won the award is Educate Girls. Educate Girls is the NGO that has won the award. Educate Girls, right? Again, a hyperfactual question. There is no need of taking risk in this. What are hyperfactual questions? Basically, the question which will ask you about names, place, and date. These are hyperfactual questions. These are the questions where you're not supposed to take risk. Okay. Next question. Raman Magsaysay Award is often referred to as. I think just moments ago we have discussed it. It is known as Asia's Nobel Prize. It is known as Asia's Nobel Prize. So now we know that we can guess the relevance of this award, or the importance of this award, that it is known as Asia's Nobel Prize. It is known as Asia's Nobel Prize. Okay, next question. On what basis was Educate Girls awarded the 2025 Raman Magsaysay Award? Now, this is a question. This is a question which can be answered easily by anyone. Even if you don't know the answer, you can just read the options and get to the correct answer. Option A says, for environmental conservation. See, just look at the name of the NGO, Educate Girls. So it should definitely be related to girls' education. It should be related to girls' education. So which option says that? Promoting girls' education and addressing the cultural stereotypes. All other options are incorrect. All other options are incorrect. So when you're solving GK, you have to keep your eyes, you have to keep your brain open. You have to keep your eyes open. You have to look out for information. The information that is required for you to get to the correct answer may be anywhere. It can be in the question, it can be in the option, it can be in the next question, it can be in the previous question, it can be in the other sections also. Let's say there's a passage on topic X in English, and in GK also, they have asked a question on topic X. Maybe the information that is given in the passage can help you eliminate certain questions or certain options from here. So while solving the paper, you have to use your brain, you have to keep your eyes open. That's the key, right? Okay, next question. Who are the other 2025 Raman Magsaysay Award winners other than the Educate Girls, right? Now, apart from that, there are two other women who got this award. These are Shahina Ali from Maldives and Flaviano Antonio L from Philippines. So these are the two women who have won the award, won the Raman Magsaysay Award 2025, apart from Educate Girls. Now, this award it's not the first time that an Indian has won the award. It is the first time that an Indian NGO has won the award. Earlier, people like Arvind Kejriwal, right? Arvind Kejriwal has won the award. Rabish Kumar has also, a very famous news journalist. Rabish Kumar has also won this award previously. So this is not the first instance where an Indian has won the Raman Magsaysay Award, but it is the first time when an Indian NGO has went on to win this award. Okay. Next, in 2025, who was awarded as the Grand Commander of Order of the Star and Key of Indian Ocean by Mauritius? Now, this award is granted. Now, look at the options. Nelson Mandela. Now, this award basically is given to Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. When he went to Mauritius, he was awarded the Grand Commander of the Order of the Star and Key of Indian Ocean Award, right, by Mauritius. Again, look at the options and the information given here. The answer is Narendra Modi. Now let's look at the next question. The Order of the Star and the Key of the Indian Ocean is an order of merit in which country? You have to tell me which country gives the award. Now, if you see both these questions in the paper, you would know. You can guess the answer from here. The answer is in the previous slide only. The answer is Sri Lanka. Mauritius. The answer is Mauritius. The answer is Mauritius, as mentioned in the previous slide. All right, moving on to the next question. Ayushman Bharat. Now, these are, so as of now, we have covered the questions from sports. In sports, we covered questions from cricket. We covered cricket. We covered chess, tennis, right? And any other sporting event where Indian has performed well. So apart in the sports category, you should also look at the performance of Indian performers. If any particular event or sporting event was won by an Indian team or an Indian athlete, you should know about that. And especially if it is a big achievement, right? If it's a major achievement. Also, you should know about the achievement of Indian women's ice hockey team. They have won a major tournament. The Indian women ice hockey team has won a very important tournament. So you should know about that, right? Then we covered the questions from the category of awards. In awards, we have covered topics like Nobel Prize. Then we covered questions from Raman Magsaysay Award. We looked at questions from Booker Prize. We looked at questions from Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. So all these questions we have looked, right? Now, apart from that, if any Indian has won an important award, Indian winners of important awards, that also you should know. Now, the idea is not just to know the information which I'm giving you in the form of questions, but also read about the topics which I'm covering. Because these are one of the most important topics. These are going to be the most important topics for the AILET exam. And, although predicting topics in AILET is very difficult, predicting topics from where the questions will be asked in Clat is easier, but predicting topics in AILET is much more difficult than that. But I've still made a research made in this question analysis is based on the previous year trends. I've analyzed the papers of last 4 to 5 years, and these are the areas which are very often asked in the paper, right? Apart from, of course, the static question, which you'll find you'll also find a few static based questions as well. But these are the areas which are generally repeated. So it's better that we go, prepare for these topics before we go for the exam. All right, let's move on to the next question. Now we'll solve questions on schemes, government schemes. There are a lot of times they ask questions on government schemes as well. The AILET has asked a lot of questions from government schemes. So yeah, we'll solve a few questions from government schemes as well. Ayushman Bharat has two major components. There are two major components in Ayushman Bharat. Which of the following correctly pairs them? Right? PMJ, that is Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, and Health and Wellness Centers. Next option says PMJ and National Digital Health Mission. Next is HWCs and PM Swanidhi. Option D says PM SSY and PMJ. Now, this is a factual question. This is a factual question, and the approach of factual question should be either if we mark the answer, if we know the correct answer, correct information, otherwise we skip the questions. So in this case, the answer is option A, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana and Health and Wellness Centers. So this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is the umbrella project of the government of India, where the idea is to provide healthcare insurance as well as to set up primary healthcare and wellness centers. So it's a two-pronged approach to deal with the issue of health in India. First, we'll give under the scheme, people are provided with health insurance. So in case if they need any secondary or tertiary care, they can directly go to a secondary or tertiary hospital and get a treatment there, and the payment will be done by with the money of insurance money. And the idea is also to open up the primary healthcare centers, which are the first point of contact for people. Right? Next question. Under Ayushman Bharat, health and wellness centers focus primarily on, what is the focus of health and wellness centers under the Ayushman Bharat scheme? Now, just moments ago, I told you that health and wellness centers are primarily focused on primary healthcare, right? Comprehensive primary healthcare is the correct answer, right? So this is the correct answer. Comprehensive primary healthcare is the focus area, primary focus area of health and wellness centers under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. Okay, moving on to the next question. Which of the following is not covered under the Ayushman Bharat PMJ? Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Which of the following is not covered under that scheme? Pre-hospitalization expenses are covered. Outpatient consultation not covered. Post-hospitalization expenses are covered. Secondary and tertiary care is covered. So it is only the outpatient consultation which is not covered Apart from that, all other things are covered under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana under Ayushman Bharat scheme. Right? These are the things which are covered, and outpatient consultations are not covered. So that would be the correct answer. Now, next question about the quantum of coverage or the scope of coverage of insurance cover under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, the beneficiaries, the eligible beneficiaries, get an insurance coverage up to 5 lakh per family per year. You can go get admitted to the hospital, you can get a treatment, and you will get an insurance of 5 lakh per family. 5 lakh per family. You can get 5 lakh insurance per family. That is the quantum of the benefits that you get in the Pradhan Mantri under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana scheme. Okay. Moving to the next question. Beneficiary identification under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is primarily based on which data? We have to identify the data on which the beneficiary identification has been done under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, right? And for this, the answer is SECC, that is Socio-Economic Caste Census. Of 2011, right? There is no census 2021 draft list because the census is yet to be conducted, right? So this option can be eliminated, right? So answer, of course, it's a hyperfactual question, but again, there will always be some questions, some options which you can eliminate. So at least in this question, you can eliminate this particular option because this is factually incorrect. Something you can guess. All right, next one. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is implemented through which model? What is the model? Now, if you know the basics of what we discussed regarding Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, you can easily answer this question. Now, first option says only insurance. Second option says only trust model. Now, one thing that I recently told you, the one approach that I recently talked about was eliminating options based on extreme words. And in both these options, there is an extreme word called only. So I'm just eliminating these two options. Next one is hybrid of insurance and trust model. Now, we recently saw that there is an insurance coverage under the scheme. So yes, this component is there. And along with that, they're also opening health and wellness centers. Health and wellness centers are also being opened under the scheme. Now, last option says CSR-based funding model. CSR is corporate social responsibility. See, it is a government scheme. Why the government will put the responsibility on the corporates? See, CSR initiative is basically there are certain category of companies which are legally required to submit a portion of their profit, a part of their profits to activities for the welfare of the public. So there are certain countries which have a profitability higher than the certain threshold. They are legally required to dedicate spend a minimum percentage of their profits for the welfare of people, for the overall welfare of people. So CSR based funding model is an incorrect option. So here you also, if not this option, at least these two options you can eliminate. At least the first and the second option can be eliminated from here. Right? These two options can be eliminated based on the extreme words. Based on the extreme words approach. All right, moving on to the next question. Which ministry implements FAME? Now, FAME is a flagship scheme of Government of India, which stands for Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of electric vehicles. Faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. This is the full form of FAME. Faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. Now, through this scheme, the government aims to promote adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles in India. So for adoption, they give, if you want, if you're for the under the scheme, the people who are buying electric vehicles were getting a subsidy. They were getting a subsidy. That's how they were promoting the adoption, right? So we have to identify the ministry. Now, whenever there's a question on ministry which is implementing a particular scheme, you can, to a certain extent, you can apply logic. The answer for this question, of course, is Ministry of Heavy Industries, which is the ministry for which is implementing the faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles scheme. Certainly, if in the previous question you can eliminate this option because they're asking about a ministry. Ministry and Niti Aayog is not a ministry. It's not an implementation body. It's a planning body. It's not a ministry first, and also it's a planning body, not an implementation body. Whereas the question asks us about the implementing agency, which is responsible for implementing the FAME scheme, faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. Now, next question. PM Swanidhi provides credit to. Now, this was the scheme which was launched during the COVID-19 pandemic. This was launched during the COVID-19 pandemic to provide working capital for the street vendors. Street vendors were the target. Street vendors were the target of the scheme. So this was launched. The scheme was launched, during the COVID-19 pandemic, and the street vendors were provided with some working capital during the pandemic. Okay, next question. Incentives under the PM Swanidhi includes. What are the incentives that are given under the PM Swanidhi? Now, option A says interest subsidy for timely repayment. Yes, this is one of the incentive. Capital subsidy for shop construction. No, not for shop construction. As I already said, this is only for street vendors, not for shop owners. And the idea is to provide working capital. The idea is to provide working capital to the street vendors. Then, next question, insurance coverage. No, they're not providing insurance coverage. There's no direct transfer. Under the scheme, the street vendors get a loan of up to, let's say, 10,000. They'll get a loan of, initially they'll get a loan of up to 10,000. Now, if they repay this loan on time, now, firstly, this is a collateral-free loan. There is no collateral required. It's a collateral-free loan. And if you repay it timely, if you repay it on time, you will get interest subsidy. So instead of, let's say, 10% interest, the interest imposed on timely repayment would be, let's say, 7%. So you will get a 3%, 4% interest subsidy depending on the timely repayment. Also, if you repay it on time, this can be increased to, let's say, 20,000. So next time you can take a loan of 20,000. So on timely repayment, your limit under the Swanidhi scheme also increases. Next question. Jal Jeevan Mission aims to provide. What is the objective of the Jal Jeevan Mission? The objective is to provide tap water supply to every rural household. That is the objective. The objective is to provide tap water supply to every rural household. That is the ultimate objective under the Jal Jeevan Mission, right? Solar pumps for agriculture, river interlinking infrastructure, urban sewage systems does not go well with the Jal Jeevan. You have to focus on this name, Jal Jeevan, right? Sewage system and river linking infrastructure will not go well with this term at least. So if you have to eliminate options based on logic, you can eliminate these two at least. Also, solar pumps for agriculture. Again, something which is not going well with Jal Jeevan. Basically, something for, Jal Jeevan, it portrays an idea that you want to supply drinking water, right? So, option B is the most appropriate answer here. Next question. Jal Jeevan Mission uses which implementation model? What is the implementation model? Now, under the Jal Jeevan Mission, the idea is to provide tap water supply to every rural household. That is the idea, right? Now, the best thing about JJM or Jal Jeevan Mission is it follows a bottom-up approach. All the planning and implementation is left to village. The village panchayat is responsible for planning and implementation. It is not a fully privatized approach. By the private players will set up, will supply uh, tap water in rural areas because there's no profitability. See, private sector will be involved only in areas which are profitable, right? Rural areas, if you're supplying tap water supply, there's no profitability. So private sector will not be involved here. Centralized contract-based work. Again, too technical. PPP exclusively. Again, extreme word. Now, whenever we see an extreme word, it should raise a red flag in our mind that there are very high chances that this option would be incorrect. Now, 90% of the times, whenever there are extreme words in the options are incorrect. 90% of the time at least. Okay, next question. Jal Jeevan Mission is implemented by which ministry? Now we have to identify the ministry. I think the ministry which implements the JJM is Ministry of Jal Shakti. Ministry of Jal Shakti is responsible. Here the option that you can eliminate is Ministry of Power. Ministry of Power can be eliminated, but other three are similar. Other three are confusing. They are quite close to each other. And because the implementation, it's a scheme which focuses on rural development, so that can be an answer. And similarly, Panchayati Raj, because the planning is done by village level panchayat, that also can be an answer. So here it becomes difficult to eliminate option, but at least this option you can eliminate here. So, but the answer is Ministry of Jal Shakti. Okay. Next question. PMSMY is a pension scheme for. Now, Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana. PMSMY stands for Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana. Now, under this scheme, the idea is to provide post-employment benefits or social security to workers people who are working in the unorganized sector. So people who are working in the unorganized sector, for them, the idea is to give pension, to provide pension for people who are working in the unorganized sector. Now, if you look at the option organized sector, now these workers are already getting pension. They are already either under NPS or OPS, old pension scheme or new pension scheme. They already have a pension plan. They are already registered under a pension scheme. But for those who are working in unorganized sector, they do not have they are not enrolled in any pension program. So for those people, the government has brought Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana, right? For instance, government employees and corporate professionals, they're all under the either NPS or OPS. They or EPF, Employee Provident Fund. So they have some social security, but these are the people who are not under the social security net. And to bring them under the social security net, the government has recently brought the Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana. Okay, next is PM Vishwakarma scheme focuses on which of the following? Which of the following was the focus area of Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme? Right. Now, next, for this question, the answer is traditional artisans and craft people. Traditional artisans and craft people. Now, basically, the idea under the Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme is to provide toolkits and also some training, some form of training to traditional artisans and craft people so that they can be self-employed, they can become self-dependent, and they can find self-employment opportunities. That is the idea behind the PM Vishwakarma scheme. PM Vishwakarma scheme. Right. So the answer for this question would be option B, traditional artisans and craftsperson. This is the focus area under the Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme. So you see, there are a lot of factual questions. So idea is to cover the as many factual questions as you can. So you'll have to solve more and more questions. You'll have to look for compilations, question compilation. That should be the focus area, and that should be the approach for preparing for that should be the approach for preparing for the AILET exam. If you want to prepare for GK for AILET exam, the approach should be that you should cover most of the factual question. Now, what should be the source of preparation? You can read the GK mantras, especially the one-liner factual information that you get in the GK mantras. That is one of the best sources to prepare for the AILET exam. Okay, next question. Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana follows which contribution model? Now, again, a question on Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana. Now, under this scheme, this follows the contributory model, meaning thereby both the government and the employer, government and the worker contribute for the pension scheme. So if I am a worker and I want to register, I will contribute and the government will also contribute. So the contribution model that is followed is co-contribution from worker and the government. Contributions from both the government and the worker. Next is the Nyay Mitra scheme. The question on Nyay Mitra scheme. The Nyay Mitra scheme primarily aims to, what is the objective of Nyay Mitra scheme? Now, Nyay Mitra scheme, the idea is to clear the backlog. Now, one of the key problems that Indian judiciary is facing currently is the backlog of cases. And many of those cases are pending in the courts for more than 10 years. And the Nyay Mitra scheme, the objective is to clear the backlog of court cases which are more than 10 years old, which are older than 10 years. So that is the objective under the Pradhan Nyay Mitra scheme. Now, next question. Which ministry implements the Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme? Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme. The idea is MSME, Ministry of MSMEs, Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, right? The Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Now, because we are talking about Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, what you should know is that the limits or the threshold to determine whether an organization is a micro organization or a small or a medium enterprise, that threshold are changed. So basically that status depends on the annual turnover of the organization or investment in machinery. Investment in machinery. So let's say if a company has invested X amount of money or less than that, it will be considered as micro. If X plus Y, then it is small, and like that. So these limits have changed. These limits for determination of organization, enterprise has changed. And you should go through that table. You should go look at the table that what are the limits now? What are the thresholds to determine the nature of the enterprise? Okay, next question is based on Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Now, I'll tell you the background. Ujjwala Yojana, the idea is to provide free cylinders to rural household or to BPL household. Right. The objective is will provide the government will provide LPG cylinders. The women in the BPL households can shift to a cleaner fuel for cooking. So the answer for this question is BPL household. See, Ujjwala Yojana, the answer is to give cylinders, and cylinders shall not be given to rural school children, neither and forest dwellers also. So the answer is BPL household. They are the eligible beneficiaries under the Ujjwala scheme. Next question again on Ujjwala scheme. Under PM Ujjwala, households receive, what do they receive? They receive a free LPG connection and subsidy support. Subsidy support. See, again, if you look at kerosene coupon, this is something that the government want to discourage because it's not a clean fuel. It adds up to the adds up to the carbon emission. So this is something that the government wants to discourage. Free fuel for 5 years. Again, a very extreme statement. Free fuel for 5 years. Again, extreme statement. 5 kg cylinder only. So again, extreme word. The option is generally incorrect. The options with extreme words are generally incorrect. So the correct answer is P for Bombay. Free connection plus subsidy support. All right, moving on to the next question. What is the full form of SIR? Now, we know that SIR has been in news for a very long time. In fact, before the Bihar polls were conducted, the SIR exercise was conducted throughout Bihar, and recently in many other states, the SIR exercise has been started. So the question asks you the full form of SIR, and the full form is Special Intensive Revision. It is an exercise where you add, delete, and modify the names from electoral rolls. Now, this is conducted by Election Commission of India, and they derive the power to conduct election. Conduct SIR. The ECI derives the power to conduct SIR through Representation of People Act 1950. Representation of People Act 1950 provides the power to the Election Commission of India to modify, delete, and add names in the electoral rolls, and using that power, they are conducting a special intensive exercise in intensive revision exercise across different states. Right. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, apart from SIR, you should also know about delimitation. Because the next delimitation is due. So after the next census, after the 2026-27 census, delimitation exercise will be carried out. So that also you should know. You should know about what is the composition of delimitation commission, what is the article under which delimitation can be conducted, where is the power given for delimitation, what is the mandate of delimitation commission. All that information you should know. Now, next question. Who has been appointed as the new chairman of Indian Space Research Organization? Now, the answer, of course, is V. Narayanan. V. Narayanan is the correct answer. Now, what the idea that I want to convey is that you should read about major ISRO missions. The missions that are already launched, for example, Chandrayaan 3, you should know about, and also you should know about the major missions that are planned. So you should read about Chandrayaan, should know about Aditya L1, right? And the upcoming missions like Gaganyaan, Shukrayaan, and this year I think Nisar mission is also very important. So you should know about Nisar as well. So Nisar is a mission of both NASA and ISRO. NASA and ISRO has together. It's a joint mission between NASA and ISRO. It's NASA. It stands for NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. So you should know about Nisar mission as well. All right, moving on to the next question. GST in India was introduced through which constitutional amendment? Now, we had a similar question in Clat exam also, right? They had asked about the number of the constitutional amendment, right? Now, in this case, for this question, the answer is 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. This was the act through which the GST was introduced back in 2017. The GST, as a common tax across the country, the idea was one nation, one tax. It was implemented through the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, now a question from the recently conducted polls from in the state of Bihar. The question says, Bihar's longest serving chief minister has recently taken oath for which term? Which is the term he's going to serve? He's going to serve his 10th term. This is the 10th time where Nitish Kumar is taking the oath as the chief minister of Bihar. You should know which party does he belongs to, which party is in power in Bihar, which party is in the opposition. All this information you should know. Then next question is regarding the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP30 was held in which city? In fact, it's already conducted now. We have to identify in which city this climate change conference was conducted. The answer, of course, is Belém, Brazil. Belém is the city. It's among the Amazon rainforest. It's within the Amazon rainforest, where the conference of party COP30 was organized. Apart from that, you should also know that India has also shown its interest in hosting the conference of party summit next year. So that also you should know. Next, a very important question for this year. Advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of India is provided under which article? Right? Now, this is something that has been in news, throughout this year, the advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court. And I'm sure while preparing for CLAT, you would have prepared for this question. You would have memorized this article. This article is 143, Article 143, right? Article 143 provides the power to the president to seek the advice of the Supreme Court in certain matters which are of public importance, certain legal and factual matters which are of public importance. And there are, right? So, and the advice given by the Supreme Court is advisory. It's in the form of an advice and it's not binding on the government of India, right? Now, next question. Okay, before that, we should know about other articles also. For example, Article 131, it talks about the original jurisdiction. Original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has original jurisdiction in all the federal matters. What are federal matters? Federal matters includes the matters, any disputes between the state and the center, or between two states, or between a state and center on one side and other states on the other on the second side. Right. So Article 131 talks about original jurisdiction. 132 is also related to the jurisdiction. 132 and 133 are related to the civil and criminal jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. All right, next question. Very important question again. Who is expected to become the next CJI of India after Justice Suryakant retires? Now, of course, Justice Sanjeev Khanna was, I think, the 51st CJI. I think after that, B.R. Gavai became the 52nd. Justice Suryakant is the 53rd. And the 54th CJI is going to be Justice Vikram Nath. Justice Vikram Nath is going to be the 54th CJI. Right? Justice Vikram Nath is going to be the 54th CJI. And of course, in 2027, we will have our first women CJI. In 2027, Justice B.V. Nagaratna is expected. Justice B.V. Nagaratna is expected to become the first female Chief Justice of India. We are going to have the first female Chief Justice of India in the year 2027. Now, apart from this, you should also know that the Chief Justice of India is appointed on the basis of seniority. There is no constitutional provision which says that the senior most judge should become the CJI, but it is a convention that we have followed over the period of time. And if we follow the same convention, we will have Justice B.V. Nagaratna as the first female CJI, first women CJI of India. All right. Next question. In which year did India officially become the full member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO? Now, this year's SCO summit was very important. It was organized in the city of Tianjin in China. I'm sure while preparing for Clat, you would have prepared for this information. Tianjin, China is where the SCO summit was organized. It's in China. Now, SCO, if you go into the history of SCO, it started as Shanghai 5. It started as Shanghai 5. Then gradually under Shanghai 5, Uzbekistan joined later and it became SCO. And in SCO, it became SCO as SCO in 2001 when Uzbekistan joined. And then from SCO, the countries like India and Pakistan joined in 2017. Right? India and Pakistan joined in 2017. We became the full member of SCO in 2017. And recently, Iran and Belarus have also joined. I think Belarus joined in 2024, Iran joined in 2023. So Iran and Belarus are the recent members. Belarus, of course, is the most latest member. So these are the new members. I think the total number of now stands at 10. So the answer for this question would be 2017. 2017 is when the India became the full-fledged member of SCO. All right. Next question. The G7 summit. It's from the G7 summit. It was hosted by which country? Which country has hosted the G7 summit this year? Last year, of course, it was hosted by Italy. This year, it is hosted by Canada. Canada hosted the G7 summit. Of course, India is not a member of G7. India is not a member of G7, but we are always invited as a guest. We are invited as a guest. We always attend the G7 session as a guest. Now, as a guest, we are not allowed to vote. We are not allowed to cast our votes. But yes, we can attend. We attend the summit. Last year also, the Prime Minister went to Italy to attend the summit. This year, it was in Canada. So we went there. Also, along the lines of the summit, we also resumed the diplomatic ties with Canada, which were strained due to certain issues that arose between the countries. But now the diplomatic relations are restored. Right? Now, next question. Chabahar Port. Now, I think there was a question on Chabahar Port in Clat as well. It is Iran's only deep water port and is located in which water body? Which is the water body in which Chabahar Port is located? This is the question. Which water body is where the Chabahar Port is located? The answer is Gulf of Oman. Now, why is Chabahar Port important? Because Chabahar Port is operated by India. It is operated by India. India has developed the Chabahar Port. It's situated in Iran. There are two ports within Chabahar Port. This is Shahid Bahishti and Shahid Kalantari. These are the two ports in Chabahar Port, and it is Iran's only deep water port. Now, as you all know, there was a question in Clat regarding the geopolitical significance of Chabahar Port. This port helps us to counter China's control of Gwadar Port in Pakistan. So there's a Gwadar Port which is situated in Pakistan, and right next to it is Chabahar. Now, this Gwadar Port is under the control of China, and to counter the influence of China in that region, we have gained the control of Chabahar Port. So India is now operating the Chabahar Port. Now, next question. Next question is, who is the current chairman of the Asian Cricket Council as of 2025? Now, there was a lot of controversy during the Asia Cup, right? The controversy was that India won the Asia Cup and the chairman of the president of the Asian Cricket Council, he ran away with the trophy. He refused to give trophy to the Indian cricket team because there was a lot of controversy, the political controversy during the Asia Cup, especially There were questions on why is India playing cricket with Pakistan, especially in the light of all the all the Pahalgam attacks and the operations in those. So there was a lot of political controversy, and the Mohsin Naqvi, who is the president of the Asian Cricket Council, he was in the spotlight because of that controversy. So that's the correct answer for this question. Who is the current chairman of the Asian Cricket Council? All right. With this, we come to an end to our discussion on questions. Now, the idea that I wanted to convey, that I have already said to you, is that these are not the only question, right? I just wanted to give you an insight of what type of questions can come in exam. What are the type of questions that can come in exam? And what are the areas that you need to cover? So I think you've got an idea. You have very little time before you go for the before you go for the AILET exam. So please give more emphasis on GK for AILET exam, and also recognize the areas which are the strong areas in logical reasoning, right? Because timing is going to be a major issue, major factor that will come to play in AILET exam, because there will be 120 questions or 150 questions to be solved in 120 minutes. So you have to be very fast while attempting that paper. So that also you need to take care. Right? Identify the areas where you are strong. So if you're strong in syllogisms, you should attempt the syllogism questions first in logical reasoning. That will help you save a lot of time, and that will also help you to increase the number of attempts. All right, this is it, guys. I'll end the session now. I wish you all the best for your AILET exam from the entire team of Clat Prep. Stay tuned. We will have more sessions like this. And if you like the session, please do comment in the comment box. Thank you, guys.